the end of the finish. You know, Princeton got out to a strong lead at the start, and they held on to it through the middle and held off Dartmouth's big push in the second 500. And then they really, really worked it in that third 500 and had a great push in the last bit.
Oh, definitely. You know, a race like that, it's really got to make all the girls in that 8 happier than Gallagher at a fruit market. You know, it's just really good stuff. And for those of you tuning in, we're here at the starting line awaiting the start of the women's varsity 8 race. And Lori Dauphney and the entire Princeton women's coaching staff, along with the entire Princeton women's team, would like to thank all of those who donated to make the Spirit of 72 possible. The women's varsity 8 is racing in that new boat today. So a big thanks to everyone that donated to make that possible. Again, this is the first varsity 8 women's race. In lane 1, we have Dartmouth, Princeton in lane 2, University of Pennsylvania in lane 3, and Tennessee in lane 4.
Princeton so far this year on Lake Carnegie had a race against Brown, which they came out victorious in. Looking for another solid performance by them today.
So far this morning, the Princeton women have won every race they've been in so far, and looking to continue that with the women's varsity 8 here.
Wouldn't it be great if we did 4 for 4?
It really would, Rob. It really would. Hopefully 5 for 5 with the third varsity following this race.
Oh, there, Ian. One race at a time.
And they've now begun aligning the crews. Should have a start here shortly.
A lot of hungry hearts out here today, Ian, especially with the Spirit of 72 out on the water. We've got alignment. Dartmouth,
Princeton, Pennsylvania, Tennessee. Attention, go. And the Spirit of 72 is off and surging down the course. Good sharp start out of Princeton here. And it looks as though they might have an early lead as the boats draw level. It is Princeton with a foot over Tennessee, Penn right in there, and Dartmouth the trailing crew so far. And it looks as though the Princeton Tigers are off to an early lead. Real good sharp start here out of their crew. Looking to push on just like that second varsity 8 and open up a nice solid lead here early on in the early goings of this race. At this point, Princeton has now opened up water on Dartmouth. They are bow to stern with Penn, and their base speed is just, it's carrying them past Penn now as they've opened up open water on Penn, and it looks as though they might be doing the same to Tennessee right now.
Yeah, you know, Tennessee had a strong first 400 to this race, really solid front ends. But it just doesn't look like they're going to be able to maintain the same sort of base speed that the Princeton Tigers are throwing down right now.
No, it doesn't look like they will be. Right now, Princeton's off to a very solid start. Very powerful base rhythm, really swinging through. The Princeton varsity 8, stroked by Heidi Robbins, is now in the lead as we cross the 500-meter mark. It looks as though they have opened the water on the entire field and are continuing to push away.
Really, really, really fast start by these Princeton Tigers today, and they really are not slowing down. In fact, I think they're getting faster, Ian.
Really, I think you could say they're being urged on by the Spirit of 1972. Very sharp rowing from the Princeton Tigers. Very accurate blades. Not a lot of water coming up as they enter the water. Good soft catches. Connecting right away, and they just continue to march on. Dartmouth has now brought themselves back level with Tennessee. I would give the slight advantage to Dartmouth over Tennessee, and Penn is bringing up the rear. But really, you have to comment on the way the Princeton Tigers are rowing right now. It's very aggressive, very sharp, and they just continue to push despite having opened up quite a big margin
Well,
so far in this race.
You know what, Ian? It's always a special day that you get to row a brand new shell. And when you realize that was donated by all the donors of the Princeton women's rowing family, it really is a lot to put on your shoulders, and you want to make it as special as possible.
And they're off to a good start in doing that today. And Princeton is just walking away from the field. Coming into the 1,000-meter mark, you can expect them to take another push, which should gain them a few more seats. But at this point, Princeton is just rowing by themselves at the front of the pack.
I can tell you right now, this is why the Princeton women's varsity is one of the top teams in the country. No doubt.
And at this point, Dartmouth is starting to push on from Tennessee. Tennessee had a very quick start, had themselves in second place, and it looks as though Dartmouth is demonstrating the better base speed and starting to push away from Tennessee. At the same time, it looks as though Penn might be coming back into Tennessee a touch as we have crossed into the third 500.
Yeah, it's a great race here for second place right now. All three boats are within relative amounts of contact. Tennessee's about a half length down to Dartmouth, I'd say, and then Penn's about a half length down to Tennessee.
And as we come into the 750 for Princeton, they continue to look very sharp, very together, very powerful as they come through 750 to go. Looking to add more margin to their already sizable lead.
Well, talking to head coach Lori Daphne about the varsity's performance, she said she really wanted a complete performance the whole way out. She was going to use this time compared to the previous weeks and see where they could go from here to find more speed.
And at this point, it looks as though Penn might be moving back into Tennessee a touch. And the fight between those two crews is bringing them back onto terms with Dartmouth. Although right now, I would still give a slight open water advantage to Dartmouth over these back two crews. And Princeton has now opened it up to about 2.5, maybe, 2.5 lengths of open as we cross into the last 500.
Yeah, right now I have to say it looks like Penn is asking the question, but Tennessee is answering by holding on to this lead for third place. Penn is inching forward. They're inching forward.
And it looks as though the Princeton women took it up a beat as they crossed into the last 500, really continuing to keep the pressure on the rest of the field, really holding themselves to a pretty high standard here, trying to finish this race off, have a nice complete race all the way down the course. As they continue to demonstrate a very solid base speed, approaching the final 250 meters, probably going to look for another bump from Princeton as they want to finish this race off.
Well, you can tell they're definitely trying to make this a statement win for themselves as they're entering into the championship season.
And at this point, it looks as though Penn is starting to get the better of Tennessee. They're running dead levels. We approach the last 250 meters of this race.
It's funny. The Penn coxswain was actually heard asking her boat to make a decision. Seems to me that they're actually starting to make that decision to fight through the volunteers.
Oh, and now Penn has the lead. Penn has moved themselves into third place. Dartmouth continues to hold second with open water over the back two boats, while Princeton maintains that large three lengths of open water at this point lead over the rest of the field. And Princeton will go on to win this race. And Dartmouth in second, and it looks as though Penn will continue to march through Tennessee to finish third, with Tennessee following in fourth place.
Really a great day for the Princeton women's varsity and a great start for the career of the Spirit of 1972.